that's what Russia is thinking about, the ceasefire. And they're thinking zero, like they are not ready for that. That's not their condition.
Now, I want to get the thoughts now, if I can, from Solomiia Bobrovska, who's a Ukrainian MP and a member of the Defence Committee in Ukraine. Hello to you, Solomiia.
Could be better. Good evening.
I can well understand that answer, Solomiia. Things could be very much better. Now, you'll know, Solomiia, we heard just earlier today from a former director of the Central Intelligence Agency of America, and I spoke myself to your fellow Ukrainian MP, Kira Rudik, both saying the cutting off of American intelligence to Ukraine will cost lives. As far as you can see, Solomiia, is that happening now? Are lives being lost as a result of having that intelligence cut away?
I would say it's on the way, because what we hear now, this information is not confirmed 100%. So different departments, different structures, military structures, some of them, they are confirming about the lack of the information, some of them not. And the problem is that if it is the way for US to blackmail Ukraine and just to push and press Ukraine to have negotiations with Russians, I don't think that's a good idea for US to choose this track, to make Ukraine to have a deal with Russia. Otherwise, I think we will try to find and to use all possible other intel information from UK, from EU, from our capacities to move forward. That means that it will change even the structure of our joint forces centered in Europe, where Americans used to be the first. So I think the time can come to change them as leaders, and to be more, connected and tight with the UK, with Germany. We hope they will change the position and policy towards Ukraine, and it won't affect so much on front line, because what is on the front line, that's placed usually to Putin's side in order to show Americans even, like you see, Ukrainians are losing. So they have to sit, and Zelensky has to stop the not dyings of Ukrainians and shootings because of its fault, and all these bullshit narratives that Americans continue to say.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing I want is for you to say anything that might, give encouragement to Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin. But clearly then there could be a harmful effect on the battlefield. What about when it comes to the defense of Ukrainian cities, including Kyiv, from missile attack? Will that American intelligence being taken away, will that make that job of defending those cities harder?
So, it's two tracks, which is the most important. Because if you're talking about the ammunition on the front line, that's a different topic. We will survive. We will substitute the ammunition or on Ukrainian production, or EU production, or UK production, whatever. But you're quite right. That's the problem: how to deal with ballistic missiles. And the problem is, of course, with the Patriots. First of all, the ammunition for Patriots, and I would say. If US is stopping the military aid and military trade with Ukraine, we are still hoping that they won't stop their trade with, for example, UK or to any other third countries, which will be capable to buy that stuff which is needed to Ukraine as well.
Right. Now, Solomiia, the American envoy to Ukraine, General Kellogg, has just said the point of stopping the flow of intelligence and arms, he said it was meant to push Ukraine to talks. And he's talking about the contract that America's been looking for to extract minerals from Ukraine. What do you make of that comment from General Kellogg? I think you've given us a hint already. You used the word blackmail.
Yes, I just said the same. It's a blackmailing of Ukraine to make us sit or to accept the Russian conditions, because we hear so much. So we have to have an agreement with the US. We have to pay billions, and then they finally rewrote the memorandum about the minerals. then they said, okay, they need not only Luhansk and Donetsk region, they need 2 more regions because Russia has them in a constitution. And so many conditions to Ukraine. And instead, we don't hear anything what Russia has to do. Do they have to stop just with the ballistic missiles and Shaheds? Because every single night in Kyiv and all Ukraine, that's Shahed drones are flying and hitting the targets. That's the part of exhausting our air defense.
Yes.
That's the one thing. The other, so they won't stop. And they have very clear program for this year, 2025. I mean, Russia, with the mobilization, with the plans to have the buffer zones, starting from the North Ukraine up till to the Kherson and Mykolaiv region. That's the very south. So they are very clear with their plans. That's the problem, and we don't hear. So they will just stop shooting, or what Russia has to do finally, as a compromise to sit with US or even with Ukrainians around the table of negotiations.
Yes.
We just hear only conditions to Ukraine, but nothing about Russia.
Well,
what they have to do.
So let's talk, Solomiia, about negotiations. Just in recent minutes, the president, Volodymyr Zelensky, has been setting out his vision for some sort of a ceasefire deal. He says there could be a truce, which would mean no attacks on energy and civilian infrastructure, and operations in the Black Sea, they should stop. Operations in the air, they should stop. Now, where that's concerned, what would be the effect of that? Because the fighting then would presumably carry on the ground. What would be the effect on the war on the ground?
The third point, by the way, is to bring back all prisoners of war
Yes.
on Ukrainian soil. That's probably one of the most painful things and heartbreaking issues for Ukrainians. That's a good question about the front line, but I think I hope that it will help a moral. It's a moral part of the. So I would say aid to that guys who are in trenches and who are infantry, and that's for us possibility. To increase and to run faster. With the military production, especially ammunition, to the front line. I'm 100% sure Russians won't stop on the front line. They will
Yes.
push and push. They have very now clear, by the way, one of the directions to attack. That's the Zaporizhia region near the nuclear power plant station. We know the plans. We are preparing for that. I think they will attack. It's gambling. It's never play anything with Russia, because they will always. And finally, you has to understand that.
Yes.
You, as a Brits, you understand, that, because that's a history. You just have to study and to read. They will always play as a KGB players, and KGB always, unfortunately, winning, because they don't have any fair rules and fair play.
Yes,
That's the problem.
Indeed. And this afternoon, just again this afternoon, Vladimir Putin has said, effectively said he's got no interest in a ceasefire at all. It's not promising, is it?
Absolutely. That's why, we're talking so much about the EU things, partners, allies, plans, programs, proposals. But you have to pay attention on, first of all, on what US and Russia had as the conclusions of their 2 meetings in United Arab Emirates and in Turkey. That's the first thing. About Turkey, we have really very less information about that. And the second thing, that's what Russia is thinking about the ceasefire, and they're thinking zero. Like, they are not ready for that. That's not their condition, and they will make America to play on their rules. That's the problem, because that can be an endless story to talk about French closing the sky proposal or whatever. But it's always the first, unfortunately, player, because we're not playing by force. Russia will dictate the rules.
All right. Solomiia Bobrovska, Ukrainian MP, member of Ukraine's Defence Committee. Thank you so much for making time, Solomiia, to talk to us this afternoon.